Well, folks, we have a roundup of European football to look forward to, and with the season we have it's come thick and fast, which is great because if you were listening to UEFA, they want more and more European football forever and ever, just tumbling and again, making more shots of it. So this is a sign of things to come because we got a very quick fire group stage this season, Neil, and I have to say it's actually spread up either intentionally or unintentionally some really interesting results.
Yeah.
So we'll get into it. We'll get stuck in then. So we'll start off, we'll go group by group and see and do a bit of a postmortem on each one. So Group A ended in Napoli and Liverpool qualifying with the same number of points, but Napoli had the competitive edge on Liverpool and better goal difference in the end, with Ajax getting to the Europa League and Rangers officially now the worst team in group stage history with 6 losses and minus 20 goal difference, which if anything should be an accomplishment, to be honest, but however.
Always be proud of your accomplishments.
It really should be. But I remember looking at this group at the time there and thinking like this is I really enjoyed this group as a concept just because I wasn't aware of how much of a tear Napoli were going to go on.
I
And
don't think
Ajax is always
anybody
good
was.
fun. No,
Napoli have been the standout team across all of Europe. I think everybody was expecting sort of a bit of a backstory to Napoli is that they got fucking gutted over the summer. Like they lost a fair amount of their players, and so I don't think anybody was really expecting them. Yeah, they're a gritty team; they'll dig in. But I don't think anybody was expecting them to go holy fucking just kill it like they have done, and they've really, Jesus, they've really fucking they've really gone and done it. Like they were just destroying teams left, right, and center. Like it was just unbelievable. Like
they're such a fun team to watch as well. Because I remember the last time we did play Napoli in the group stages, we got beaten by an Ancelotti team at the time, and again they were very attritional and kind of picked their spots, and was kind of the era of kind of Insigne and Zielinski, funny enough, who's still there, but Insigne was kind of the real kind of player that stood out for at the time, and now it's a team that's led by Osimhen and Politano. And now Kvaradona, who's taken the world by storm, and rightfully so. He's a wonderful player to watch.
Like he's just one of the most scintillating players I've ever seen. Like every time you watch him play, he's just like, oh my god, I just cannot not watch this guy.
He's a box office. He's a box office player.
He's fucking brilliant. He is really fucking good. Like, and it's not just they're getting the Serie A discount there. No, he's killing it everywhere he's going. It's just brilliant. It's really brilliant. Like, don't know where this guy's literally just come out of nowhere and has just RKO'd all of football.
Yeah,
and that's why more people aren't talking about him. Is beyond me. Like I don't understand. Like it's kind of like it's like one of those weird hidden picture drawing things that only I can, but not even I can see, but like only a few people can see because I look around at other football fans and like, if you've not seen this guy at Napoli, like Jesus Christ, like
yeah, and the whole Napoli team is like that though. Like I mean, because it's not him, it's Osimhen, it's like Raspadori, it's Politano. They have so many. They're the perfect blue chip team at the moment right now because every position they have someone interesting, and that's the thing. Like Napoli are, if anything, the most interesting team in Europe right now. So, and weirdly enough, like beating us 4-1 was kind of the catalyst for that, where it got people's heads turned. Whereas, like, yes, you would have said, like, obviously Liverpool having such a bad season was a way to kind of counteract that. But look at the team that they just beaten, and then the average about 4 goals per game in the group stages, which is insane. You know, they smashed Ajax, they smashed the Rangers, and somehow we beat them 2-0 at Anfield. But I think that's just the impact of Anfield sometimes as well, the kind of that luck aspect to it. But I've actually no issue really coming second to this team because they have been so imperious. Like I said, both domestically and in Europe, like the leading Serie A by 5 points, and quite honestly, like if it was a technical knockout situation, I'd say give them the title now because these guys are seriously fucking good, you know.
Well, it would be, but like there's a big Serie A resurgence. So both the Milan teams are really like, holy fuck, like they're kicking on. Like AC are just brilliant. They're playing excellently all over the pitch. And Inter just Arturo Martinez has just supercharged this Inter team.
Mm.
Um, to like new heights. Like he's their main man. They're building the team around him. Um, and it's great. It's kind of great to see they'll have both the Milanese teams. I don't know why, but I have a bit of a weird soft spot for the Milan teams.
Yeah, I can
And
get that. I can appreciate that.
it's just weird. Because like when I grown up, I always remember them just being like these
It's a
killer.
very 90s football kind of feel, isn't it?
Really is 90s, and
When
I
Inter Milan
remember
was the center of the universe, like.
exactly, and I remember
Yeah.
nostalgia. Um,
I remember
I
Rivaldo.
remember nostalgia. But yeah, like AC are back where they belong. They're killing it. They're back in
Yeah.
the into the knockout stages. Um, it's crazy. It's really really good. Like I love seeing this. I love seeing this.
Yeah.
Actually, enter into the fucking knockout stages as well. So, granted, both teams went in a second place. Did they
It's the,
both
the
go in?
second place, yeah.
They both went in a second place
Yeah.
teams. But like, this is wonderful. These teams are getting absolutely pilloried like even a season or two ago, and
Mm.
they're now up and killing it, and it's just brilliant.
Yeah,
I really
it
really
really
love it.
is. And we should applaud it. And that's the thing. Like it's good to see. That's what we really like about this year's Champions League is that you're seeing these new raw and very young teams emerging. Because Napoli's team are actually are quite young in what they do, but that youth is actually playing into their strengths. Because there's some of those players are relatively unknown, like Cavara, if you like.
I
But
don't know
then
how is he unknown. I fully
it,
agree with you that he is unknown, but I look
yes,
every time I look at him play, every time I see him, I was like, how is he unknown? How does nobody else know about this guy?
it just goes to show you, Neil. They should be sending scouts to Georgia. I mean, that's where the talent is,
Fuck.
you know.
Not even
But
to
that's the
George.
thing,
Just send him
and
into the Serie A. Like
yeah,
how much would it cost for a Premier League team to get him out of Napoli? Not a tremendous amount. And he's fucking like he will be able to cut it at a Premier League team. I've no doubt about that. I've literally zero fucking doubt.
mm. Oh no, 100%. Like I'm actually just looking at his transfer market here. Like he is legit. Like I'm just trying to see now. Where was he there last year? So he was all playing in the Georgian leagues. So okay, here we go. Right. So he started off Dynamo Tbilisi, and then he was in the Russian league, the Georgian second league, in the next year. Then he went on loan to Lokomotiv Moscow. Then he was at Rubin Kazan. So he got his breakout in Kazan, if you like, in the Russian league. Then he went back to Dinamo Butami in Georgia, at which point he was picked up by Napoli. And he actually played this year in 2022 11 games in Georgia and scored 8 goals. And he's kept the same ratio for Napoli in the exact same way. He has not changed his stats whatsoever. His output is incredible. But like it's just so you sometimes you just need a scout in the right place and you find them, kind of way. But like I said, there's going to be players like that this year that are just going to emerge, and you're thinking, buy now, get him quickly. Because there's one player in Shakhtar that you guys are very interested in at the minute, that we'll get to. I think it was Mudrik is his name, I believe.
Yeah,
Number
Philippe
8. Yeah,
Mudryk.
yeah,
Yeah, Mudryk.
yeah, Mudrik. Yeah.
Seems to be he's one
So,
of these made of lightning wide forwards.
well, yes, exactly. That's why he's in my mind. So yeah, so out of Group A, you have those two teams, and
Sorry, yes, I derailed you there a wee bit. Sorry about that.
yeah, I know. I like talking about good players. And yeah, like this is exactly the kind of the team that like in a weird way, in a very weird, very like sadistic way, I would love Napoli to draw Spurs or Manchester City to just go, haha, now you know what it's like, kind
Oh
of way.
man, they would absolutely blend Spurs. That would be
Yeah,
fucking hilarious.
it would be very funny. It'd be very, and that's like it wouldn't be hilarious. It'd be funny. Like
Yeah,
we
oh
would just
no,
get
point and laugh,
popcorn would be out.
point
Yeah,
and laugh, funny. So you were
exactly.
talking about raw young teams, teams coming out of nowhere. The two qualifiers from Group B, I think, fit perfectly into that.
What a strange group this was, and I absolutely loved it. If you like, this is a word soup of a group, right? So, if you were to tell me that from at the start of match day 6, there's going to be one team that's undefeated and hasn't conceded a goal, you'd be thinking, was it Real Madrid? Was it Bayern Munich? No, Club Bruges. The current Golden Glove holder in Europe is Simon Mignolet, and I can't believe I just said that with my mouth. Simon
Jesus
Mignolet
Christ.
is statistically the best goalkeeper in the Champions League so far
Those
this
are
season.
words that were said that are true.
Yes,
And I don't want to
that's the
live on this
scary
planet
part.
anymore. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
No, but and
I
that's
know
and
I'm
that's the
not
thing.
against them. Like,
This
I
the
don't.
best part of this year's Champions League is that like is just the form book just does not apply. Like the big teams are not guaranteed like the progression at this point. Further proven, Atletico Madrid are bottom of this group
They
because they got
crashed out
worse
of Europe altogether. They're not even going
outright.
into the
Yep.
Europa League.
No, because Leverkusen has a better competitive record than them. Leverkusen beat them. Therefore, Madrid are out, which I think is insane. But
Yeah,
it's just
that's
showing that
something.
some teams just do not have it this year. Like they whether it be by burnout or just they've been found out, whatever it is, or the players do not or have an eye on the World Cup perhaps. But when those teams are kind of like looking over their shoulder, you have these teams like Porto and Bruges who are just going to go, yep, do you know what? We're going to seize the opportunity with that. We're going to
Hmm.
take points off you. We're going to win games, and they're true to the round of 16. And again, they're like much we were talking about that Napoli team. There's gonna be a player or bigger clubs looking at these teams going, how did they get through? What have they got that we don't? And they're gonna start scouting. Particularly the Bruges team, because like again, the Belgian league in particular uh is a production line of raw talent. I mean, geez, you only have to look at the national team for that. But with this Bruges team, they're very clearly taking the kind of like the Anderlecht approach of what they used to be like, where it's like, let's just find young players, let's brush them up, let's make them look good, and just let's get them out there. And like fucking hell, it's clearly working, right? I mean, round of 16, the Champions League, whichever way you cut is an achievement and kind of proof of how well their setup is working. I probably say the same with Porto. To be fair, I mean, I can't remember the last time the Porto actually topped the group, let alone qualify for the round of 16. You know, so
It's good to see the
a nice change of
Portuguese.
pace.
It's good to see the Portuguese teams actually do really fucking well.
They really have
Um,
this year, I must say.
well,
Yeah,
you see, Lisbon crashed out of Group D, so
but they were hard done by. I think. Like we'll
yeah,
get
no,
to
no,
see,
no.
but yeah, I think they were
Fuck
hard done
me.
by
Like
now.
we'll get to Group D and what a fucking basket of snakes that was. But yeah, I'm
Yes.
I'm I'm delighted to see Porto go through.
Mm.
And Club Brugge, holy shit. Um, yeah, I know Club the Brugge they went through a second. Porto went through top. So that's
Yes.
actually really fucking good for them. Although when you consider some of the second place teams, like they can't get Brugge, obviously.
Mm.
Um, but or can they? No, you can't get
No,
the
you
second.
can't get from the same group. So
Can't get them
Porto
from
are
the
kind
same
of
group.
pigeonholed into probably getting the likes of Liverpool or maybe an Inter Milan
But
or
if
yeah,
PSG or
yeah.
Dortmund, that they're Leipzig, AC, actually both AC and Inter,
Yeah, they're actually very
Frankfurt.
likely to get an English team, just going by by sheer math alone. So they're probably going to get one of the four English teams, just going by the way the maths work.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry, Bruges. Sorry, yeah, Bruges. Sorry, I was reading it wrong. Sorry about
Yes,
yeah. Yeah, they'll probably will get an English team because there's City,
Spurs
Chelsea,
and Chelsea.
Spurs,
Yeah,
and fucking
yeah.
someone
So
else. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, and like I said, Leverkusen get more time in Europe, where Madrid are going back to the drawing board. Shockingly enough, and they're not the only one. They're not the only Spanish team crashing out because Group C kind of played out the way I was expecting it, Neil, to be honest. Munich
Yeah,
qualified with flying colours, Inter did, and Barca out.
I did as
Yeah.
well. I predicted this I predicted Barcelona just crashing straight out.
Yeah.
They're an absolute fucking basket case. Bayern went through with a perfect record. I didn't they haven't dropped a
Perfect
point.
record. Yeah. One of the only
Yeah,
teams to have it.
which I would have predicted as well. Inter
Mm.
going through, delighted to see that. Yeah, I suppose like the only really noticeable thing about Barcelona crashing out for the second straight season is that it gave us a very nice segue from our Group B conversation there.
Mm.
That's the only real thing. That's the only thing I can say about it. Like I just
It's just like, I love that we live in a world where the Barcelona's were the also rans of a group. It says so much, like, but that's the
it's
way it's gone. Like it's
absolutely how it's gone. They've spent
yeah.
huge amounts of cash to go literally backwards.
Mm.
It's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah.
And long may it rain because it is fucking pure car crash.
Mm.
Sorry, pure non-consequential car crash. Um,
Yes.
watching. We'll get into it now. I think we're gonna have a bit of a wee special on Barca.
We
Now, but
will, yes,
fucking
next
hell,
week. Yeah. So
it's just crazy. Loving seeing Inter now through. And yeah, Munich got to be the favorites for the title, haven't they?
Well, we shall see, I suppose. I mean, like, but Munich are weird like this in the sense where they seem to maximize the group stages really, really well. They will on their games of group stages, and then they might just get a bit stuck in, say, the quarters or semis. But I think that's to do with Nagelsmann and just having a bit of naivety in their approach.
Yeah, they
That
don't
being
have
said, though,
Barcelona now to stuff two particular points, you know?
no, but that being said, though, I think the difference this year is going to be Sadio Mane for them. I think he is taking that kind of winner's mentality and attitude that he kind of developed at Liverpool and kind of putting it into that Munich
And he's
side.
scoring some wonderful fucking goals for them, like
But he's
really, really
consistent.
fucking good
He's
ones.
taken up that mantle from Lewandowski. But the thing is, I think also a better. He's more of a selfless player than Lewandowski in the sense where he might be able to play in someone like Sane or Musiala and just make them better players as an outright unit. So while he's also playing in a central position, which for he doesn't do it for Liverpool. He played in the left, but he played it for Senegal. So I think you're kind of seeing a more of a Senegal type Mane as opposed to Liverpool, which is actually just as good,
Oh
because he
yeah, because
plays in
he
players
loves
better.
where he plays for the Lions.
Yes.
Senegal are the Lions, aren't they?
Yeah, the airlines, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
he loves where he plays for the Lions. So yeah, I like how Bayern have fed into that. He's a very very good player who may also has the added bonus of making everyone around him very
Play
much
better.
better as
Yeah.
well.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, he is fantastic, and yeah, that group played out pretty much how I think everybody expected.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was actually one of
yeah.
the more obvious ones, which you can't say for Group D, to be honest.
Holy shit! Right
So
up until the last games kicked off, nobody. I remember our WhatsApp fucking messages about this.
yeah,
Our WhatsApp chat was, "I have no fucking clue. I don't have an idea. Like, what was it like? 2 points separating all four teams or something like that?
yeah, it
Crazy.
started off with I
It
want to
literally
say
went into the last series of games. Literally went out. It was just a gunfight. It was literally
yeah,
whoever standing last tops the group.
yeah.
And
It
whoever's
started off with Spurs on 8, Frankfurt and Sporting on 7, and Marseille on 6. And it was hypothetical that Marseille could go through as top of the group and with 9, and then Frankfurt and Sporting could draw,
it
and
wasn't.
Frankfurt, I think, with a better goal difference,
Yeah,
could go through.
it
I think
wasn't
it was
just
Lisbon
It
that
wasn't
got.
just hypothetical. Like it was pretty. Like if they'd have won,
Mm,
um, they would have gone through. Simple
yeah,
as like whoever. It basically last match day for Group D. It was if you win, you go through, and if you don't, you probably won't.
yeah,
That was the same, and for all four teams, that was all the same, and it was just
exactly. It was a
it was
complete shootout.
crazy.
Yeah.
I cannot remember the last time that happened.
Yeah, and it's weird because like I look at this group and I look kind of based on performances alone. Like Spurs, I think are very, very lucky to be top of that group, to be honest with you,
Incredibly
because I
lucky.
think they really made hard work of this set of teams. Like, don't get me wrong, like it's not as if they were packed full of like heavyweights, but they're still blue chip teams in the sense where Sporting like have another crop of very good and talented players. And this is after they lost Mateus Nunes and another player that's slipped out of my head. Oh, Joe Polina. So you've lost Polina to Fulham and they lost Nunes to Mateus Nunes to Wolves. So that their whole midfield gone and just replaced with two new players. And they're still as good and exciting as they are now. Frankfurt, obviously, Europa League winners, so there's clearly got something about them as well. And Marseille had this kind of weird resurgent project going on, but they have it based off the backs of Arsenal alumni, which is very strange. But but still quite funny in that sense. So they're interesting teams, and I think Spurs made really hard work with them. Um, whereas you'd assume with a Conte backed Spurs and so forth, you'd think that like they should be a little bit above them. But when you say Spurs top this group, it just doesn't tell the story at all. It's just that's completely out of context because Spurs, if it wasn't for that late goal by Højbjerg, like they could have easily finished third. They could be a Europa League team now, let alone be top of the group. It's insane, really. And if I'm any second place team in the round of 16, I'm thinking I'll take that Spurs team. Thank you very much. They're clearly
Yeah,
the easiest option.
I mean, like we in the previous episode pod, we went through like like the Spurs team have some serious weaknesses and that they give up the entire first half and just
Yes,
seem intent on making every single match a 97 minute
the Sporting
slog.
games were very evident of that.
Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
they just seem that like you don't win everything by making every single game a 97-minute slog. You know,
Mm.
you will have to. There are games you have to kind of I want to
Pace
put these
yourself.
guys. I want to put these guys away at halftime so I can kind of coast for the second half. You have to
Mm.
do that.
Yeah.
If you want to play, like, it's 38 games in the league plus whatever else it is for the fucking Europa League.
Mm.
So, if every single one of them is going to go to the 95th minute, like, your team is just not going to last. That is
No,
not possible, especially with the thin squad they have. It's just not, and it is starting to fall apart.
it is.
The
Yeah.
players are starting to break down. So, yeah, they won Group D. They probably will get a favorable draw. They tend to do that, pricks. Um, Although when you look at some of the second place teams,
I don't think it's guaranteed, Neil.
I
Depends.
named I named off erroneously previously. I named off, so like both the Milan team stuffed them. Leipzig, I think, stuffed them. This Dortmund iteration,
And
maybe.
bear in mind, PSG are second
I was
in
about
that
to
group.
say that, and I was about to
Yeah.
say this PSG team fucking wiped them, like
Yeah.
absolutely creamed them. They can't draw Liverpool because it's the same country. Um, but yeah, I look at all the second place teams, like they're not they're not gonna do well. Like, you surrendered the entire first half to Paris Saint-Germain. Like,
Mm.
you're going
You're
into
going. Yeah.
you're going in for your orange slices 4-0 down. Like,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I
Um.
don't understand where that comes. So fair play to them. The top Group D, well done. Credit is where credit's due. They've played a particularly awful brand of football this entire
mm.
season, and it doesn't look like it's going to change. But they're not going to get past the next round. They just are not.
I don't think
Unless they
so.
draw like
They have to
Frank.
get a very fortunate draw
But they can't draw
to get that.
Frankfurt.
I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
going to need a very favorable draw and some serious luck. But I don't see them getting past the round of 16.
Yep. Totally fair. And yeah, so Frankfurt go through a second in that group as well because they won their shootout with Sporting. Sporting are in the Europa League, and Marseille basically at one point looked like they were going to top the group, and then unfortunately end up with nothing, which is quite sad.
You get
Um,
nothing.
you get nothing. And so ends the ballad of Olympique Marseille. Um, Group E then was a bit more hard work than Chelsea were hoping for, in fairness, because this is very much a team that was before and after our group before and after Tuchel, I should say, because they lost their first game, they drew their second game, they got smashed by Zagreb in their first game, and then they drew against Salzburg. But weird enough, when Graham Potter take over, then it was actually the two wins against Milan that actually got their mojo back in a sense, because obviously get them points off the closest rival in the group helps a lot with that. The 6 point
And like
swing.
they were pretty comprehensive. I mean, like, they were 3-0 and 2-0 victories.
Yeah, they were very good victories for that. So obviously Chelsea then now finished with the end up top of the group then with 13, and Milan go through second, which is, again, was proportionate considering the teams they were facing. Salzburg, Europa League, and Zagreb out completely. But like I said, Chelsea, like, I think the new manager Bounce kind of saved them from hassling this group, because I think they kind of, if they had waited a bit more on the Tuchel dismissal, I think it would have gone a lot more grim. But obviously it was kind of well timed in that sense, and it kind of saved their European hopes, if you like. Because they certainly had better ideas, and the Milan team were just not prepared for that style of football by the time they come around. So it was well timed and fortunate in that sense. But yeah, I mean, you'd expect Chelsea to have topped the group, to be perfectly honest, and rightfully so they did. So I think it all works out well in the end. Next up then is Group F, which pretty much shook out the way it should have. Real Madrid topped the group. Leipzig got a result over them in the end, so they finished second. It's actually only a point in the difference between these two teams, weirdly enough. For Team Leipzig, who were doing so badly domestically, it's nice to see that their Champions League stuff was going fine. Shakhtar, understandably, got the third place finish, whereas Celtic died in glorious battle with 2 points and trounced everywhere they went. But you know what? They had fun along the way, and not the main thing.
In all fairness, they just had to do better than Rangers, and that is all that matters to them.
They got 2 more points than Rangers, and they conceded far more technically goals, but they scored goals. So that kind of that balances things out, doesn't it?
Sort of, yeah. I
Ish.
mean, like, and both their draws were the same thing. It was 1-1 with Shakhtar.
Yes.
So yeah. So
Hmm.
I don't. To be honest with you, I thought when they looked at this group, they thought, yeah, we're not getting in ahead of them. Maybe we'll get into the Europa League, and I don't even think really they were too confident of that. They thought if I could just do the double over Shakhtar, we'll get third. and go into the Europa League and still keep this European run going. But was not to be at all.
No, it wasn't. And like I said, I think I mean, there is a conversation to be had about the Scottish teams here. Like, obviously, let's be perfectly frank here. They did qualify because of Russia's exclusion from the UEFA competitions, and they probably wouldn't have made the Champions League regardless. I know Rangers had a great run to the Europa League final last season, but I mean, they were like realistically, they kind of the gates kind of opened for them in regards to qualification. And for Celtic, like they play a wonderful open style of football that's really overly attacking and very overpowered. It suits in the SPL where you don't have the defenders and goalkeepers to worry about that. It's a bit different when you're going up against, say, Thibaut
Vinicius
Courtois
Jr.
and Vinicius Jr. It's a bit of a different story, you know.
He is somewhat a cut
Dundee
above.
United, Santiago Bernabeu. It's a bit of a
He is
difference.
somewhat a cut above the average SPL forward.
Very much so.
So that's it. In all fairness, kind of sorry not to see Celtic in going into the Europa League, but in all fairness, Celtic and Rangers are Conference League teams.
They are, yeah. At this moment in time, most Scottish teams fall in that category. So yeah, I think that's right. That's unfortunately the reality of it. But I like I said, Shakhtar, obviously for kind of reasons outside of football, it's nice to see them in the Europa League and hopefully they get a good run there because again they've got some really really good players there that deserve to be in the shop window. Mudryk was one we were thinking of, and there's a few others there in that kind of window as well that you'd like to see them kind of make a splash and hopefully make something out of it. I mean, Madrid, I think like are just going to be in that kind of same imperious form with the knockouts. I think like Ancelotti like finds ways to win, and I think even if they did like kind of leave it a bit close with Leipzig in terms of the points, like they didn't really have anything to worry about in that sense.
No, they didn't. No, the Real win. It's the Champions
Yeah,
League. They are Real. They win. It is that's it. It's just that simple. Death
yeah,
taxes were Real winning in the Champions League.
exactly. Yeah.
They've managed to breed in this culture that they just can't. They can't even attempt to lose.
Mm.
So that's it. I mean, they're easily the front runners for this. The teams in the transition, they've still managed to keep on keeping on. They're kicking ass left, right, and
Yep.
center. When that team has not clicked yet by any stretch of the imagination. Benzema just seemed to go, all right, then, well, I can be the main man here. And he's been rewarded with the Ballon d'Or for his efforts and
Mm-hmm.
Herculean they have been. Now, whatever you want to think of the guy as person, I personally think he's a piece of shit.
Yep. Same.
But as a player, I can't deny that he's just been fucking curial for Real right now. Even at
Mm.
the age of 32, he's just really fucking come through for them in a way that nobody thought possible. I didn't. So yeah, fucking fair play. It's Champions League, the Real. Like we shouldn't be surprised that they're topping groups and winning games.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Group G then was very much dominated by Manchester City. They didn't lose a game, albeit they did draw two. I believe against Dortmund and Copenhagen in that group. Dortmund go through relatively comfortably. It was a bit touch and go in the end with Sevilla, who lost Lopetegui during the campaign and just kind of derailed from there.
Well,
Really,
it was no, I wouldn't say it was too comfortable for Dortmund. I mean, like they did end this campaign with like 3 straight draws.
Yeah, they were vulnerable at toward the end. Yes, that'd be
Yeah.
a fair thing to say. Yeah. But even then, based off like the fact that Sevilla just did not really
No,
compete.
Sevilla
Yeah,
didn't take to it very well at all.
no,
I just Sevilla and Copenhagen. Yeah, this was a group that was preordained from the beginning.
yeah,
I think
I
the
think so.
only thing you were arguing about was whether or not Man City would clean sweep the group, which they didn't. They didn't lose a game, but they didn't win every single one of them. So yeah, that's they weren't going to do a Bayern and kill
Yeah,
everything. But then again, you don't need to. Uh,
no, and I will say a bit of a shout out to Copenhagen. Like they did manage to get 3 draws out of this group, which is actually quite impressive. They got a draw to Man City, got a draw to Dortmund and Sevilla, and their home form was imperious. I think they don't. I think they had a very good run at home, which had a lot to do with the atmosphere and the way they were playing. But they have decent players in there as well.
hmm.
Like I don't know their Champions League quality in that sense because obviously they're dropping out
Oh
of
fuck
Europe
no, they're
outright
not
now.
Champions League quality whatsoever.
it was a decent team. Like I think they played
Oh, no,
quite
they're
well.
good. Like,
Did
oh, no,
themselves
no,
out.
that's good. But they are not. They're just outclassed
Yeah, and
here,
that's fair.
and that was it. So I'm like
Yeah.
they're truly stuffed by Sevilla. I mean, like Sevilla's one win came against them. They were stuffed 3-0,
Mm.
and yeah. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much it.
It is. And the last group then we had to talk about was what we gave the 5 alarm Chile to, and that had been proven to be correct, Neil, because
Absolutely, this burnt the tongue off of me, and fuck me, twin snake shit with Benfica and PSG finishing right. Obviously, they
yeah,
played the same amount of games. The
hmm
But it's perfect symmetry. They've both won 4. They've both drawn 2, lost none, scored 16, conceded 7, given them
yeah,
a goal difference of 9 with 14 points. And you're just like, it's Benfica topped the group solely because more of their goals were away goals. So
yes,
it
it's the
was
seventh differentiator, I think it was.
yeah, exactly. Like holy fuck, it was
Yeah,
crazy. Um, but yeah, the gulf between the top and the bottom half of these groups couldn't be any clearer. I mean,
mm,
Benfica and Paris Saint-Germain both, as I said, both have 14 points, leaving Maccabi Haifa and Juve with 3 each.
yes,
Um,
which is staggering.
Juve being the other Serie A story in that they've decided to forget how to play football.
It's
And
actually there's actually a story in there itself, isn't it? Just how much of a tailspin their team is in. It's actually incredible to look at because this has been happening the last couple of years with Juve, and they've just kind of like cobbled together as best they can to get to kind of keep where they are. But they're not championship contenders anymore. Like as things stand, they're actually like 8th in the league, which is insane to think that their competition is like what Lazio, Roma. They're nowhere near the likes of the Milan teams or Napoli at this rate, or Atalanta for that matter. Like they're best fighting for what 5th or 6th. Like they might even get the Champions League this year. That's how bad they have been, and yet they're still seemingly sticking by Allegri and still sticking to the hope that just because they're the biggest team in Italy, it'll just come good for them. It's a bit grim for them, really, isn't it?
it is. To be honest with you, I think they're backing Allegri because Allegri's got a bit of pedigree and um, you know, replace him with.
Yeah.
Like um, so like who did he get in his place? Like, there's not a whole lot of
Mm.
people who are going to take that going to take that job. That team's going down. It's not doing well. Um, so it's crazy. Like they're losing to Maccabi Haifa.
That was
Um,
a shock. That was a
oh,
massive. That's when you knew. Well, you only kind of see where you think like, "Hell, is there something wrong with this club?" And you see Maccabi Haifa win, you beat Juventus. Yeah, there's something wrong. There's an
yeah,
issue there.
that's it.
There's
I'm
something
like
wrong.
that was Maccabi's first win since 2002 when they beat Man U 3-0.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So it was
it's
good.
just crazy. I'm like, there's a whole lot. I'm like, Jesus, we could have a whole episode on just what's going on at not Barca at
Juventus, yeah.
Juve. But like, yeah, they've suffered from a crazy drop in form, just as the Milanese and Napoli have kicked up a
Heat, yeah.
notch. Um, that's it. I mean, the only noticeable thing about their run in this group was that their game against one of their games against Benfica was took place without Hawkeye technology because of a technical issue.
Yeah.
Um, that was it.
It
That's
was
the only
clearly a
noticeable
fault.
thing.
It was clearly a fault. It was a conspiracy. It was a
That's
complete
the
conspiracy. Yeah.
only noticeable thing. Um, on this, and yeah, fuck it. It's just it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
just hilariously crazy.
And now they're in the Europa League. And like I couldn't even say if they could win the Europa League because like
Good
they
God,
don't
no.
seem that
In all fairness,
fussed.
there's a high chance they're going to be paired off with a team that's going to absolutely trounce them. I'm like,
Let's get into that, Neil, because we have Europa League rules here.
yep.
So we're probably enough. We won't go through each group, but I will say who's qualified. So like obviously you guys have topped the group Group A. It was a bit touch and go in the end because PSV were breathing down your necks. Managed by Ruud van Nistelrooy, as I found out to my surprise. And again, they gave you a good game and they kept you honest in
Mm-hmm.
terms of the group. So yeah, that they're going to be interesting setup for the season going by. But at least, in case you don't know, since the Conference League has started, basically the teams that are qualified top of the group basically skip a round of knockouts. So anything that's second place in the group now will face off against basically the scraps of the Champions
Yeah,
League.
so the
third places.
second placed Europa League teams have an extra round of games, which is why
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal were quite desperate to finish top of the group.
Exactly, it's
Which is
an
why
imperative to incentive to top finish top.
yeah, I think it's hilarious that like at almost every stage of the Europa League, the reward for winning more Europa League games is less Europa League. So I think
It's kind of ironic, isn't
it's
it?
sort of baked into the competition that knows it's a piece of shit.
It knows it's inconvenient.
It knows it's second
yeah,
tier. It knows it's
this
a
is
low
like,
rent.
yeah, you don't want us here
Yeah,
no
yeah.
more than we
It's kind of
do.
it's like that scene in The Simpsons where Krusty goes into the pizzeria. It's like, you scum. I don't let you sit here next to the scum.
Yeah.
It's like, you scum. So that's like the more Europa League you win, the less Europa League you have to play. And you're like, yes,
Yeah.
you scum. And the prize for winning the Europa League is not having to play the fucking thing at all the next season, which is
beautiful.
literally like, I only get to the scum compared to Krusty. That's pretty much it. So
yeah.
in any case, that's the main reason why. So the first team, the first group, the top of the group teams actually just get a week off to get a bye week, to use an Americanism.
Yes.
So
Which
yeah,
with this season in particular is quite handy.
It is.
Because,
I mean, like in all fairness, I might actually watch some of these knockout because there are some potentially tasty fucking matchups.
Well, this is what I was going to say. So I'll mention the Champions League drip tray here at the moment. So you've got Ajax Leverkusen, Barcelona, Sporting Lisbon, Red Bull Salzburg, Shakhtar Donetsk, Sevilla, and Juventus. Those teams falling into the Europa League, and I'll mention now the teams that could be facing them. So from Group A, Arsenal qualified, PSV now into that competition.
Yep.
Group B, Fenerbahce get the bye because they're top of the group. Rennes are now second. So they will compete there. Real Betis top Group C. Roma are in our second place. Ludogorets actually pushed them right to the end, shockingly. It actually was a really dumb VAR call that saved Roma in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Group D, USG, which is Brighton Junior, if you're not acquainted, they top the group. But FC Union Berlin, who are top of the Bundesliga,
the two unions topped Group D.
Yes.
So USG.
Hooray for Labour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Workers' rights.
The socialist group. But
yes. Yes,
Group D, USG stands for Union San Galois.
Galois.
Yeah,
Galois,
definitely mispronouncing that.
But they're owned by they're in the Brighton Dominion, as I call it.
And it's funny that like Union Berlin are top of the Bundesliga right now.
Yes, they're pulling a Leicester. It's very exciting. It's very, very exciting. And long may it continue, by the way. I'd love
very much. Oh, holy shit! Yeah, I'm all for it. Get that in my veins.
Indeed. So Union Berlin goes into the I should say the back door. That's a good way of calling it, actually, the back door.
They go into the drip tray. Yep.
The drip tray, yeah. Let's call it that because I can't find a better word for it. Group B, interesting enough, Real Sociedad topped the group by a goal ahead of Manchester United. So Man United go into the drip tray where they could face some intriguing teams. Feyenoord, actually, this is wonderful. Group F is a perfectly symmetrical group, Neil. All 4 teams have 8 points, and they're all separated by goal difference. Feyenoord have more goals scored, so they top the group. FC Midtjylland,
one more goal scored.
We have one more goal.
Their 4 against is 13 and 9, giving them a goal difference of 4, whereas Midtjylland have a 4 and against of 12 to 8.
Yes,
and have a goal difference of 4. So they literally get through on goals scored. It is fucking crazy.
It's beautiful, and I love it. So Midtjylland, who are part of the Brentford Dominion, they go into the drip tray, whereas Lazio, because they had got trounced by Feyenoord 1 game, are now in the ECL, which I think is such a cruel and ironic punishment. But then again, Mauricio Sarri manages them, so Chelsea team.
Well, Roma won the fucking Conference League last season, so fuck it, it's not
always hope, yeah, exactly. Group G then, Freiburg topped the group. FC Nantes are going into the drip tray. Shocking enough, Olympiacos was in that group and they finished bottom, so they had a stinker of a campaign, fair to say.
Yeah, they didn't win a game. They didn't win a single game.
They didn't. They did not. Group H then was a bit of a surprise as well. Ferencváros from Hungary topped the group, whereas AS Monaco, because they had a bit of goal difference, but they lost their games against Ferencváros, so that's why they are second. and they go into the drip tray as well. So, like I said, there are teams there that like Champions League teams will not want to like tie, but then you're looking
It's
at
a
like
funny thing in
say
there in Group
Man
H
United.
that it's a funny thing in Group H there that Ferdinand Carlos actually topped the group with a negative goal difference.
Yes, because they beat Monaco. That was it. Like they had a better, they had the
They had a
competitive.
better. They got through on
Oh
head to
yeah.
head. Yeah.
Mm. So, like I said, like that's where the actual interesting wrinkle into that drip tray goes because those are the 16 teams are now paired off, and only 8 of them will go through, and they you probably say it's actually quite a nice way of actually eliminating the big teams that didn't want to be in the Europa League in the first place. Because, like you said, like it's a really weird kind of win condition. It's like, well, if you win, you have a chance to get in the Champions League. If you lose, well, you're probably going to the Champions League anyway. So just get out of a competition and give someone else a chance. It's so such bizarre, weird, sideways logic, and I love it. And yeah, like it's and like from an Arsenal point of view, you're very delighted to miss the drip trade. But if you're a Man United fan, that's a bit of a problem because that's 2 more games now in your season where you really don't afford, you don't have the time. Like it's getting quite touch and go, especially if you're trying to go for cups, domestic cups as well. You now have to choose between what competition to go for now. So
Absolutely.
but yeah, but that's the weird exciting stuff about European football. And by the time the round of 16 draw for Champions League will be on Monday. So by the time this goes out, well, actually not true. It'll be out on Sunday, so we'll have this conversation before the round of 16. But hopefully we'll have an idea of who we get tied up with and some spicy ties, which we will chat about. I'm sure before the big games kick off in February. Just a small matter of a World Cup before then, just to deal with.
Yeah.
So we just
Oh yeah, that thing happening. Yes,
oh yeah, shit, yeah, fuck,
that
I
thing
forgot
there.
about
Yes.
that. Yeah, shit. Oh well.